משנה ג' משנתנו מוסיפה לעסוק בדברים שאסרו חכמים בשבת משום שנאמר. Our Mishnah continues to talk about things that the sages prohibited on Shabbat because it says in Yeshaya there's a verse that says וכיבדתו מעשות דרכיך, you're going to honor God from doing your regular ways, ממצוא חפצך, from finding all your need, ודבר דבר, and speaking speech. And from the words דבר דבר, it means that your speech on Shabbat should be different than your speech on a regular day. So it says like this. You come to shul, and there's a person in shul, your car just broke down. And you tell the person, he's a mechanic. You say, do me a favor, can you fix my car after Shabbat? So let's see. לא יזכור אדם פועלים בשבת. A person is not allowed to hire workers on Shabbat. לצורך עבודה ביום חול. Even though it's not for Shabbat, you're telling him it's for after Shabbat. Why? שדיבור בעסקי חול אסור. Because you're speaking about something that is not Shabbos. It's not Shabbat. ולא יאמר אדם לחברו בשבת, לזכור לו פועלים ליום חול. So the same thing, you're not allowed to tell, do me a favor, hire for me somebody for next day. For the next Tuesday. For example, I'm coming to you, and I say,
you're not asking me, you're asking me to hire somebody.
Yeah, but you're not going to do it on Shabbat.
Right, for after.
Yeah, in other words, you're going to hire them on a Sunday.
For Tuesday.
You're going to go to them on Sunday, but just me telling you, you become my agent already, and that's already a problem. בגמרא מבואר, in the Gemara it explains, שהתנא לא נקט פסקה זו אלא לשם הדיוק. It says it to be very exact. לא יאמר אדם בשבת לחברו שיזכור פועלים. It says a person is not allowed to tell his friend to hire workers. But listen what you're allowed to tell him. אבל אומר לו, הנראה שתעמוד עמי לערב. Says, do me a favor, can we meet this tonight? After Shabbat? Tonight means after Shabbat. And by the way, when you tell a mechanic, do me a favor, can I meet you tonight? Everybody understands what you're talking about.
Not for buying diamonds.
Yeah, he knows exactly what you mean, and you know exactly what you mean. He says, are you still allowed to do it? You're still allowed. Why are you allowed to do it? שאף על פי ששניהם יודעים שעל מנת לסחרו לפעולתו ומזהירו. It says, we all know, what is it, the game? We all know that you want to meet with him in order for business meetings. הואיל ואינו אומר לו את זה בפירוש, since you don't tell it to him directly, מותר, it is permitted. What's the rule? The rule is, this verse specifically prohibited what? Speech. It didn't it prohibited your speech on Shabbat to be different than your speech on a weekday. It didn't tell you your thought on Shabbat should be different than your thought on a weekday. שאין זה אלא הרהור בעניין מלאכה. Over here it's just a thought about working. ולא אסרו חכמים על הדיבור. And when the sages made a decree, they made a decree on speech and not on work. Now, on thought. Now, just have in mind, you're not allowed to think on Shabbat about work.
Right.
But you're not thinking over here on Shabbat about work. This is what you're doing. You are thinking on Shabbat that you're going to work after Shabbat. Mm-hmm. So actively planning out something on Shabbat, that is not allowed, even in thought. But over here, to tell somebody, I'll meet you after Shabbat, that's allowed. Because you're just thinking about work that you're going to do after Shabbat. Think about it that way.
I think it's just to get you to calm down and, right on the edge of being okay. To calm down, to be able to do something so you can get on with back to Shabbat. Because otherwise the guy's going to keep thinking all the time.
No. God prohibited certain things. He never prohibited that. Not because of what you're thinking.
I know, but because you can do that, you're going to think about it. Oh, I see Moshe over there. I got to tell him, let's meet tonight because I got a lock I got to change on Tuesday.
a little bit different. You look at the other way.
Okay.
God permitted you to hire workers on Shabbat. Where does it say in the Torah you're not allowed to hire workers on Shabbat?
And then we just said that.
The sages said it. Forget the sages. Before the sages came,
Okay.
it says you're not allowed to work on Shabbat.
Right.
It doesn't say you're not allowed to tell a guy, excuse me, can I hire you for work after Shabbat? I'm not allowed to make a business deal with him on Shabbat itself. Hey, let's make the business deal now. But let's make, after Shabbat, let's make a business deal. That the Torah allows you. The Chachamim says that God allows. We're going to take away speech in Shabbat. But we're not going to take away thought on Shabbat. Thinking it that way. Go from the other side, it's going to make more sense. Because God never said not to, He said not to work. He didn't say not to think about it. Yeah. Okay? Another thing, and you're going to see soon that it actually gives you a lot of leeways of what to do. Let's see. Okay. En machshichim al atchum. You do not make it dark on the boundary. Let me explain what that means. Every city, 2,000 amot, 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer out of the city, it's called city limit. And one is not allowed to walk out of the city limit on Shabbat. He's not allowed to. Forget carrying. Even if he's not carrying, he's not allowed to walk without carrying more than this distance out of the city. Now, let's say you have an important business deal at 10 o'clock tonight, right? At that time, with someone after Shabbat. On Friday, on Motzei Shabbos, on Shabbos night, which means Sunday already. It's going to be a Sunday. And you have a business deal at 10 o'clock over there, and you know that if you're going to stay in the city, you're this side of the city, you're never going to make it at 10 o'clock. So what you're going to do is by 8 o'clock over here, you're going to start walking, you're going to get to the city limit, you're going to stop over there, and then as soon as Shabbos is over, you're going to walk. Are you allowed to do that? That's the question. In other words, you are doing something on Shabbat as a preparation for after Shabbat. But everything that you're doing you're allowed to walk, it's legal. Right? That's the question. כלומר, שאסור ללכת בשבת עד סוף תחום השבת, 2,000 אמות מחוץ לעיר, you're allowed to walk on Shabbat out of the city limit, כדי לצאת ממנו מיד שתחשך, in order to go out of it immediately when it becomes dark. What are you not allowed to do? To do that for? לשכור פועלים ולהביא פירות. If you wanted to hire workers, or you wanted to bring produce, you're not allowed to do that. לגשת לשכונת הפועלים, you wanted to reach the neighborhood of the workers, שהיא מחוץ לתחום השבת. That neighborhood is outside of the city limit. לשכור שם פועלים, because you needed workers. או לפרדסו להביא משם פירות. Or you wanted to go close to your orchard to bring some fruits back. Why? שכל דבר שאסורו לעשותו בשבת, that everything that you're not allowed to do on Shabbat, אסור גם להחשיך בשבילו עד התחום. You're not allowed even to come to the city limit for it before Shabbat. In other words, you're preparing, you're doing part of the work before Shabbat, we're not allowed allow you. אבל מחשיך הוא, but you are allowed to, על תחום השבת, on the city limit, you're allowed to go on Shabbat to that limit, city limit, לשמור, in order to guard. After Shabbat, you need to guard your orchard, that is, the thieves are not going to say. You're allowed to go all the way there before city. It says, what's the difference? The difference is that you're allowed to guard on Shabbat itself. There's no prohibition on Shabbat. So since you're allowed to guard on Shabbat itself, you're allowed to walk because you're walking to something that you're allowed to do. On the other things, you're not allowed to rent workers on Shabbat or to carry fruits on Shabbat. So therefore, you're not allowed to do it. So in other words, this is a permissible thing. So therefore, you'll be allowed to walk even on Shabbat because it's permissible until that city limit. כדי שיצא מיד כשתחשך חוץ לתחום לשמור את פירותיו, הואיל ומותר לשמור פירותיו because you're allowed to guard. כשהם בתוך התחום, if they were inside the city limit, you were allowed to guard them, אפילו בשבת, even on Shabbat. הוא מביא פירות בידו, and then, even though you didn't go there for bringing fruits, then you're allowed to bring fruits back from the orchard. Because the reason you went there was not for the fruit. The reason you went there is for the guarding. And then on the way back, you're already allowed to carry the fruits. כשחוזר לביתו, מותר לו להביא עמו פירות משם. When he returns to his house, he's allowed to bring fruits with him. הואיל ולא נתכוון, because that wasn't his intention. כשהחשיך על התחום להביא פירות. When he walked to the city limit, he didn't intend to bring fruits. אלא לשמרם בלבד. Only to guard them.
So is that like, still he can bring like for himself? He can't bring like a basket of fruit?
No, you can bring a whole truckload. He went there to guard. He didn't went there to as long as that's the reason he went.
Yeah.
How would you know though? Like say you have a fig orchard and it's time to harvest them, so you're going to guard them. Well, you know because it's your orchard, it's time to harvest, and you're guarding them because they're ready to be picked. How could you?
Did you go there for, or did you go there also for guarding?
I don't know how you could get it out of your mind that you're also going there to protect.
It's fine. You can go for both, but did you go there for guarding?
Yes.
So you're there anyway. That's the idea. If you're already there for guarding, that now you're allowed to take the fruits back. But if you weren't interested in guarding, you say, nobody's told it ever. And you don't tell yourself, I'm going to guard it, you don't need to bring the fruits. If your intention was for guarding, then you're allowed to take the fruits. Otherwise, don't. Okay? כלל אמר אבא שאול. Abba Shaul said the rule over here. בדיני החשיכה לתחום, when it comes to walk to the city limits, when it's dark. כל שאני זכאי באמירתו, anything that I am allowed to say, שרשאי אני לומר, that I'm allowed to say, לאחר שיעשו במצוא שבת. If I'm allowed to say now for another person that he should do it when Shabbos is over, כגון הדברים השנויים להלן במשנה הבאה, like we're going to learn in the next Mishnah, that there are things I'm allowed to tell. There are things, let me explain this a little bit. For example, there's a wedding. There's a wedding after Shabbat, right? So the question is, am I allowed to tell the Rav that's coming to the wedding, excuse me, make sure when you come to the wedding, I see him in shul, make sure when you come to the wedding, bring a bottle of wine with you. Because I forgot mine. I don't have a bottle of wine. Are you allowed to tell a rabbi on Shabbat to carry a bottle of wine after Shabbat? So it says there are circumstances where you'll be allowed to if the thing that you're doing is for a mitzvah. Example, for a wedding, or for something like this, or there's a levaya, there's a...
Like we learned with the circumcision, you have to carry the knife through the street.
Yeah, but that's on Shabbat itself. Over here, it's after Shabbat. Are you even allowed to tell it to him? Yeah?
Tell him during Shabbat.
During Shabbat. So we're going to see there are things that you'll be allowed to, there are things you're not be allowed to. Usually if it's for a mitzvah, you'll be allowed to. If it's not a mitzvah, that's why Abba Shaul is talking about. וכל שכן, דבר שרשאי אני לומר לאחר שיעשו בשבת, כגון לשמור הפירות שבתחומו, for example, to guard the fruits in the... For example, I can come to you, do me a favor, my orchard next to your house, guard it on Shabbat. Because you're allowed to guard on Shabbat. It's not a thing, you don't do, it's on a walk. You're just there, so people are going to see your presence, they're not going to come and steal. שמותר אדם לומר לחברו, because a person is allowed to say to his friends, שמור לי פירות שבתחומך, you're allowed to say, look, you'll guard my fruits, ואני אשמור לך פירות שבתחומי. You've got an orchard in my town, I've got an orchard in your town, city limit, I'll guard your fruits, you'll guard my fruits. And I can do this on Shabbat. I can tell you that on Shabbat. So if you're allowed to say it on Shabbat, or it's dvar mitzvah, or it's a mitzvah, like we said, after Shabbat, like we're going to see in the next thing, רשאי אני להחשיך עליו. I'm allowed to walk to the city limits before it's dark. להחשיך בשבילו על תחום השבת, to walk to the city limits before it's dark, יש מפרשים, there are those who explain, שאבא שאול חולק על תנא קמא. That אבא שאול disagrees on the first תנא. שכן לדעת תנא קמא, the first תנא, אין מחשיכים על התחות בשבת, אלא לדברים שמותר לעשותם בתוך התחום בשבת. The first guy says you're only allowed to do it to things that you're allowed to do in the area, in the city limit. אבל דברים שאסור לעשותם בשבת, but things that you're not allowed to do them on שבת, אף על פי שמותר לומר לאחר שיעשם למוצאי שבת, even though you're allowed to tell another person that you should do him after Shabbat, for example, carrying fruits or carrying the white bottle of wine like I explained. Yeah? כגון לפקח על עסקי כלה וכדומה. Oh, he gives the example. For example, to make sure that there's a wedding after it and the kala has all her needs after that. And similar things. מכל מקום אסור להחשיך עליהם. Nevertheless, because you're not allowed to carry on Shabbat, therefore you're not allowed to do it. Abba Shaul says you are allowed to do it. Tanna Kama says you're not allowed, since you're not allowed to carry, you're not allowed to tell the rabbi to take the bottle of wine. And Rabbi Shaul says, since it's for a dvar mitzvah, and you're allowed to tell him, therefore you're allowed to. ואבא שאול סובר שמותר להחשיך על עסקי מצוות אלו. אבא שאול says you're allowed to walk on Shabbat to the city limits before it's dark, like we explained before. ויש מפרשים, there are those who explain, שאבא שאול אינו חולק על תנא קמא, that אבא שאול doesn't go like תנא קמא, אלא הוא בא להוסיף כלל על דבריו, he just comes to explain them. מכל מקום, nevertheless for our area, ההלכה הוא כאבא שאול, the halacha is like אבא שאול, which means that if you are allowed to tell the rabbi, then you're allowed to walk. In other words, there are things that you're allowed to tell somebody to do on Shabbat, for after Shabbat, if it's for the sake of a commandment, specific commandments that we're going to learn later on, then you will be allowed to walk to that tchum after Shabbat, before Shabbat.